For the longest time, I thought that I was really close to finding out what happened. As I look back on it now, I think she was just a master manipulator, and I think that she was very good at lying and was very good at holding all those secrets in. I don't think Elizabeth has told the truth to anybody.
One day, I feel like Gabriel is alive out there with this couple that Elizabeth gave him to. And then another day, I think that Elizabeth did exactly what she said. She smothered him either accidentally or viciously. And she put him in a bag and put him in a dumpster, and the police just never found him in the landfill.
Every hope is out there that Gabriel's adopted, that he's living a life somewhere. Yeah, a good life. Shouldn't be a life without his family. Shouldn't be a life without his father. Every one of us needs to know where we come from. Every one of us needs to know our chapter 1. So all we hope is that Elizabeth's telling the truth.
I think it's hurtful for all of us who live through it. But at some point, you know what, maybe somebody's going to change their mind. They know that little piece of information and drop the dime.
Easy case. Mom says she killed the kid. Boom, boom, we got a murder case off our head. We'll never find the kid in the dump. It's a 1,000-acre landfill. He got dumped. We'll do a perfunctory check. Our facts support the fact that we've got a confession. Why am I going to screw up my murder rate when I've got a murderer saying I did it? Why am I going to open up a can of worms that there may be this wild ass conspiracy out there? And why am I ever going to do that? Well, that's your goddamn job. And they didn't do it. What they did was just so lazy. And that's the only word I can say. It was just a lazy investigation.
Ms. Johnson traveled to San Antonio. She left Tempe, Arizona. We also believe she did go to that park, Raymond Rinkus Park in San Antonio. We believe that there was a conspiracy of some type, either to transfer Gabriel, possibly to another family, maybe possibly even an underground adoption agency that was involved. So we're analyzing really every aspect of all the data that's coming in, and we're hopeful again to determine what happened to Gabriel.
Yeah, I felt like I was the face of what was wrong with this case. And granted, I'm, as an investigator, used to that, especially when you can't resolve something. It is not uncommon that families they don't have a suspect to blame, so they blame you. I think that there was a lot of bad information that was floating out there. You know, it's very common now, but at the time it wasn't all that common to have internet sleuths, internet detectives that would comment on everything that they saw and take a news story and comment on what the police should have been doing, or the fact that there's this underground network of adoptions that nobody else has ever heard of, but because it's online and somebody posted it with some shaky facts, it all of a sudden becomes true, and you've got to dedicate your time to go and investigate that. So I was chasing shadows online and then trying to deal with what was real.
I didn't even know at the time that San Antonio was a hub of illegal adoptions. I was stunned when I found that out. It makes sense, but I was shocked. So I think Tammy did her research, and I think ultimately the goal was for Tammy to get Gabriel for herself. But like I said, when this went national, I don't think they knew what to do. And I think it became a case of just panic, panic, panic. The phone calls on that particular day lead me to believe that Tammy was very involved in where Gabriel was placed.
As a lawyer, you hate to use the word irrefutable, but in terms of just arguing to a jury and I was making a case, when you look at the cell phone records, which were horribly not followed up on, I think it shows that on Christmas Day or the day after, there was any number of phone calls that were completely out of character for the parties that were calling one another. It wasn't a situation where a father and a son were calling saying, Merry Christmas, when all of a sudden you have 10, 20, 30 phone calls all within a few minutes of one another at the time that Elizabeth was supposedly at that park, or just not long after. There's one thing that is certain in this case, that was it, that this was set up fairly meticulously, that there was a plot. To me, I don't think there's any doubt of that, the genesis of how all this came together.
we do not believe that you could ever kill that baby. And still right now, I don't believe that you could have done that.
Yeah, because you know I didn't.
Well, I don't know you didn't, but I pray to God you didn't. You know? And in my heart, I'm thinking that you didn't. Can you think of anything about these people? Anything that could help find them? Did they mention anything? Did you really give them the baby? Huh?
Cut the crap. Just
cut the crap?
Yes.
What do you mean cut the crap?
You know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean. Elizabeth, trying to act like we had something to do with this is not going to help you.
You did, and you know you did.
You know we did. You know we had something to do with this.
Yes,
why do you think we had something to do with this?
Because you did.
During my career, I've solved and worked on hundreds of missing person cases all over the world. Some of these have been very high-profile cases, such as the missing 5-year-old Australian girl, Lavana Okba, who I located. Took 2 years, but I located her and rescued her from Egypt in 2009. I absolutely believe that Gabriel is out there. I believe he's been given a new home, that there was a very compelling case, supported by evidence, that Jack and Tammy Smith had made arrangements through a family member in Nashville, Tennessee, to travel to San Antonio, collect Gabriel from the park at the appointed time, and take Gabriel into a safe place until such times as Elizabeth could have a break from Logan. That story was supported by all of the evidence that was available. It was supported by the confession that Elizabeth made in tears. Very emotional confession about what really happened.
Yeah, so Elizabeth did make some phone calls. And I wholeheartedly believe that her initial reason for coming down here was to make some arrangement with the Smiths. And I think she had it. I'll say that I think she had a deal. I think that Elizabeth was ready to give Gabriel away to Jack and Tammy Smith. I wish she had done that, because if she did, we would have resolved this case a long time ago. It just didn't happen.
So Elizabeth Johnson was instructed to go to that park. The reason that we know that is because she made handwritten notes writing down the names of the streets that led to the park. She said in her confession that she was given instructions by Tammy to get to that park. She didn't even remember during that confession whether or not she had actually written it down.
How did you get to that park then?
They had told me the intersections, Tammy did, and what my intersections were, what they're close to, and I figured it out from there.
Did you write it down anywhere?
No, I might have. I don't remember. I think I did.
But she had written it down. The evidence was there in her own handwriting. So if she was making up this story, how did those street names appear in her journal? There's absolutely no doubt that she was instructed to go to that park.
There was a private investigator that came into town from Australia. He had apparently narrowed down the park that this transaction had took place, and he was just, he was so close to finding what happened. So how he narrowed that down and how he potentially identified this mystery couple, the bottom line is it all turned out to be bullshit. It was not true.
If we helped you with somebody, then why don't you know who it was? And why are you saying you met these people in a park?
I don't know who they are. You're
Oh, I know them, and do you have any idea how crazy that sounds?
No.
That we know who these people are, but you don't?
No, that doesn't sound crazy at all. It's exactly how it is and how it happened.
That's very crazy. That sounds very, very crazy.
She didn't have any connections here. I think Elizabeth was desperate. I think she was probably scared, and I think she made a decision to kind of relieve herself of all that stress and start over again. I base that on all the evidence that I've been able to see, from her diary entries to talking to witnesses to working with the FBI and their behavioral analysis unit. I think that she just decided that the life that she had wasn't the life that she wanted or deserved, and she was going to start fresh.
Obviously, another thing that was a concern to us is looking through some of your writings that you left behind either in journals or in the car or in the room, something like that. One of the notes, it says, "Stay away from broken people. We will hurt you. It's all we know." There's another note that says, "I hurt everybody. I'm sick of it. I will never stop. I'm toxic. Sorry." And there's another note that says, "You live what you know what you live." And then there's another note that says, I believe it says, "The devil's got me. Let me go." And do you recall writing those?
Yeah, I was drinking.
Okay.
And just feeling like I was a piece of shit.
Do you recall when you wrote those?
Throughout the week, I would get upset. I feel like I'm just a mess up and I can't do anything right. I keep messing up my life instead of being responsible. And I just feel like such a loser, I guess. I don't know.
It's logical and understandable why Tammy and Jack Smith stood up on national television and denied that story, because had they admitted that story, they're off to prison. Had the people that collected Gabriel in the park admitted they were the ones that collected Gabriel, they're off to prison. So all of these people had a reason to lie. But when Elizabeth was arrested and taken into custody, the truth came out. And she told the police the whole story. It's just that they didn't believe her. So my findings told a very different story about what I believe really happened. And this is based on the evidence, nothing else, not my assumptions, not my feelings, not my suspicions. Because as an investigator, you can't bring your emotions into the case. You have to be laser focused on the evidence and what the evidence tells you.
What do you think I did with him? And if I wanted to adopt him, why would I have had somebody else adopt him or whatever, or give the baby to someone else? That's just weird.
He's constantly calling me and just, trying to, I guess, get me to do what she wants. She's saying, well, we could adopt you, and then we could have grandparent rights, and she just one crazy plan after another. And I was like, I don't know, this just sounds a little crazy to me. And she was like, well, we can, and then that's when she came up with the plan that of handing the baby to her friends in San Antonio. And I just wanted to get away, and I didn't want to be a part of living with them, or I just wanted to go my separate ways. And
because they want everybody to believe that Tammy's hiding the baby and that's what really happened. Or they want everybody to believe, yeah, she killed the baby. I don't know. I don't know what they want.
Did you honestly think that the baby was going to end up at some point back with Tammy, and you trusted Tammy, and so you thought the baby was safe?
That was the plan. That's what she kept saying. There's a way to go around it. In a few years, this will blow over. I don't think she expected it to blow over the way it did. And maybe she's mad at me for that because I messed up her plan. I don't know. She probably didn't expect the media attention. She didn't expect to be looked at or investigated.
My gut has just always told me she didn't kill him, and she had the help of Tammy Smith. And I think there was a plan in place, and I think Tammy didn't anticipate it was going to go national. And I think when that happened, they all panicked. And it was like, oh no, what do we do now? Because now here's Tammy on Nancy Grace.
Why have they been named persons of interest? Do you believe they know where Gabriel may be?
That's what our investigators are. We have some good indications at this point with our investigation that Tammy and Jack Smith do know more information that they have provided to us that could possibly lead us to Gabriel.
It's the silliest story I've ever heard of. Because things don't blow over. Things don't blow over.
Personally, I think both of them know where Gabriel is. And I think both of them have reason to still not tell their entire truth to the world.
There was a time towards the end of the investigation when the police clearly didn't like the fact that I was going around talking to all the witnesses. These are people who had been interviewed by police, Some of them hadn't even been interviewed by police yet. And I was determined to go and talk to as many people as I possibly could. So in the end, the detective in charge of the case made it very clear that he didn't want me in San Antonio any longer. It was also challenging their theory that Gabriel had been murdered. They were the homicide squad. They were there to solve murders. That's what they do. They didn't want some Australian private investigator in town saying, hey, I think it was potentially something else that happened.
Officially, it's a missing persons case. Unofficially, it's a unsolved homicide case. We will not ever rule anything out. We will follow up on any leads that come in, for whether they're leads that point to him missing and being somewhere else, or whether they're leads that point to a crime scene.
The police put a wiretap on Elizabeth's family, her grandfather, grandmother, and brother, I believe, and Tammy. And they were listening, trying to find out if anybody knew where Gabriel was. And there was so much conversation, and none of it led to Gabriel. Not one piece of information in the wiretap led to Gabriel's whereabouts. And so it started becoming clear to us that Tammy didn't know where he was, that Jack, her husband, didn't know where he was.
I helped out both Jack and Tammy through this process by giving them legal advice. At the time of this case, and even today, people still feel that there's a cloud over Tammy Smith. And people wanted somebody to be brought to justice. And that person that they wanted was Tammy Smith. And even today, people are upset and mad. But to let people know is that Tammy Smith is a good person. She didn't have anything to do with the disappearance of baby Gabriel. And all that has to be asked and answered by Elizabeth Johnson of Where Is Baby Gabriel.
My mama adopted me has changed my world entirely for the better. As far as anything, she's the best person I've ever met. My birth parents, I want nothing to do with them. All they've ever done is try to cause me issues. I recently set boundaries with them, and I don't want anything to do with them. My mom is my world. She's a great mom. Dude, I wouldn't trade her for anyone. I always tell her that next to the mother of Jesus, Mary, she's the best mom to ever exist.
In regard to Tammy Smith, we charged her with 1 count of conspiracy to commit custodial interference and 1 count of forgery. The forgery charge was simply for putting her cousin's name on the paperwork that Elizabeth Johnson filed with the court. And then the conspiracy to commit custodial interference was everything that she had done in planning with Elizabeth to try and interfere with Logan's custody. And in fact, it even seemed that much of the evidence we had for her trying to interfere with Logan's custody was more on Tammy Smith than it was on Elizabeth.
Strong words from baby Gabriel's father in court as he testified against the woman accused of having a role in his son's disappearance.
Why did you want to be here to testify in this case?
Because I was always planning on being here. I believe Tammy Smith had a lot to do with one of the main reasons that my son is still missing today.
Tammy Smith is accused of trying to help baby Gabriel's mother pressure Logan to give up his son so Tammy Smith herself could adopt the boy. Prosecutors say Smith was so desperate to adopt, she lied and plotted to come up with a way to try and get custody of the boy, despite his father's repeated and clear objections.
Tammy Smith was sentenced to 3 years of probation, run concurrently for both matters, for both of her convictions, and she was also ordered to serve 30 days jail up front for her conspiracy conviction.
God started helping me deal with the trauma of all of this in my 30 days alone with him in jail. I ended up in a little tiny cell, and I was all alone with God. And that 30 days transformed my life. I turned from a Christian to a true disciple of Christ, and I learned and understood the difference. Jesus was there with me in the cell, teaching me, and I haven't stopped following him since.
Tammy end up with such a mild tap on the hand was hugely disappointing. She was the one who came up with the idea with Elizabeth on how they would take Logan's rights away from him. Then Elizabeth could give Gabriel to Jack and Tammy legally, and there would be nothing Logan could do, no recourse for him at all. And Elizabeth wouldn't have come up with that on her own. I just truly don't believe she would have. Maybe she did, but I just don't believe it.
Tammy and Jack get to be free and Elizabeth is in jail. Well, because those people don't know anything. They only know what they're seeing, little bits and pieces and snippets on TV. They don't actually have the evidence. They don't know the truth of the real story of what happened. Possibly don't know the FBI completely cleared us. They sifted through everything in our life, every phone call, every email, everything. And not only that, we didn't do anything. Elizabeth literally had her baby and literally said, I killed my baby and he's dead and da-da-da-da. We didn't have the baby.
Have you assisted anyone in hiding Gabriel from the police or authorities?
No.
We begged and begged from the beginning to do polygraphs. They wouldn't let us. I mean, we were banging down doors, begging for polygraphs.
Did you plan with anyone to hide Gabriel's whereabouts from investigators?
No.
As for Tammy being a part of Gabriel going missing, I'm really not sure. Yeah, over the years, in the beginning, I really did think that it was mainly her and Elizabeth. And then they called Tammy in for a polygraph test and it came back inconclusive. And so things weren't really looking real good in their favor. I don't know what's true and what's not true. You know, that's this whole thing, is just everything's just been in circles and nobody knows exactly what was said and what went on. And I think that, I don't know how to explain Tammy. In the beginning, yes, she did have good intentions, but I think things got a little bit mixed up a little bit down the road.
I do wonder quite often what would happen if Elizabeth Johnson had never met Tammy Smith in the airport in June of 2009. Elizabeth Johnson picked up Gabriel and ran away out of state before. And she stayed a little bit and then she came home. And so if she had decided to run away on December 18th, 2009 to San Antonio, Texas, had she not had anybody pressuring her to do anything different, would she have eventually come home? The Smiths told Logan to let them handle it and to not reach out to Elizabeth, which clearly angered Elizabeth. Based on her text messages and her communications with Logan, she was angry at Logan. You don't care about me, you only care about Gabriel, you never loved me, you want to talk to other girls now, this is what you get. Had the Smiths not interfered with Logan and Elizabeth's relationship, I can't help but wonder what would have happened.
To be honest, Elizabeth, there's still a lot that concerns me about what you're telling me. There have been a number of things that are inconsistent. And I'm sitting here, all I can do is ask you to tell me the truth, okay? In regard to you and Logan talking to each other, that's one thing. We've got, obviously, cell records. Okay. You called Logan 81 times on the 26th and the morning of the 27th.
Yeah, that was the day with the text messages.
81 times, though.
My investigation was focused on proving that she was telling the truth, because I believed that she was telling the truth, and I would want to tell her that because she thinks that nobody believed her. No one in this whole case believed her. And I could understand every reason why she did what she did. And she explained why she said what she said to hurt Logan. She told everything the way that someone would tell when they're telling the truth.
I guess, why am I to believe you now? I mean, I know we're sitting here in this situation, but you know, we've already got you.
I want to rat on Tammy. It was the plan. I wasn't planning on getting caught. I had to say something, so I made up a story.
Elizabeth Johnson was indicted on 4 counts originally. The first count was kidnapping, which is a Class 2 felony in the state of Arizona. She was also charged with child abuse, a Class 4 felony, custodial interference, a Class 4 felony, and conspiracy to commit custodial interference. Prior to trial, the child abuse charge was dismissed by the court due to a lack of jurisdiction because any of the events of abuse to Gabriel would have occurred outside of the state of Arizona.
The defense didn't present a defense. There was no cross-examination. He did not argue that Elizabeth did not commit custodial interference or conspiracy to commit custodial interference. They conceded that. All he argued is that we couldn't prove the kidnapping charge because of the way it was written. And essentially, he argued that when she called Logan and told him what she had done, she didn't have Gabriel. We proved that she didn't have Gabriel, therefore she couldn't have committed kidnapping. And then the jury also got hung up on the fact that Logan didn't believe her.
I didn't want to believe it. I told her, I believe I told her on the phone. I said, no, you didn't. You didn't do anything to Gabriel. Where are you? Where's Gabriel? And she told me that I wasn't going to find him, until she was boarding a plane and leaving the country.
So they felt like because he didn't believe her, we didn't prove it. Even though we told them, we only have to prove she intended for him to feel that way, not that he actually felt that way. And it was just a problem, and the jury couldn't agree. They had trouble with it, so they did come back on a lesser included offense. But the difference between the charge we had and the lesser included offense came down to from a prison to a probation eligible offense.
It was difficult to watch that she was only going to go away for a very little amount of time that she had already practically served. And the charges, custodial interference, it was almost like a joke. And no one knows where this kid is, and no one's paid anything or any time. Justice has not been done. So we still don't understand how that's all that she got.
What I have done is, unconscionable. What I have done is just... it's unbelievable, and it's just not really anything I can say for myself because I'm sitting there and I'm seeing it all. I take full responsibility of my actions. I regret taking Gabriel away from Logan, and I regret saying the harmful things I said. I still can't believe I said them. Although I would never intentionally harm Gabriel, I realized I did harm him by taking him away from Logan and giving him away in Texas. I didn't want him to go through the pain and suffering I went through as a child. I didn't want him to be in the middle of a custody battle and constantly watching me and Logan fight. I imagined Gabriel in a real family, something I didn't believe I could ever give him. That is why I gave him away. It wasn't to hurt Logan, it was to give Gabriel what I never had, a real, loving family. I know it sounds unreasonable and irrational, but at the time I really did believe I was doing the right thing. It has taken me these past few years to realize just how wrong I was. I will never be able to give back what I have taken. I would if I could. I am brokenhearted over my son still being missing. I have a hard time accepting this is even real. My best for Gabriel wasn't enough, not by a mile. I wish I could undo it. I wish I could have Gabriel back. I miss him so much every day. I have to live every day without my son and without knowing where he is. The only thing that gets me through this is my belief that he is happy, living with the family I always hoped he would have. And I would convict myself, I'm watching everything and it is horrible, I don't know. So I don't know what to say to you. I see how I do deserve the maximum I do. Regardless of my side, regardless of my story, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, Gabriel is still missing and it's my fault.
Elizabeth insisted she gave the baby away to a couple in Texas, some strangers. She says she has no idea where he is, but not everyone buys it.
I think that she killed the baby. I've thought that she killed the baby from the start, but until we could get to the point where we are now, we wanted to do everything that we could. There was always that chance, that 1 in 100 chance that she gave the baby away.
And even though it's over for Elizabeth, it's obviously not over for baby Gabriel's family members. Stephanie, they are insisting that the search go on in Texas for baby Gabriel. He would now be 3.5 years old.
Elizabeth should be in prison until Gabe's found, whether it's his body, whether it's him with another family, because I don't understand how someone can make somebody disappear and they spend practically no time in prison. How she came in and destroyed Logan's life. It feels like she gets to live her life like Gabe never existed. But to Logan and to our family, it's still forefront right there. Every day it's a missing piece. And it's not, there's no justice in what happened.
Elizabeth Johnson getting out of prison. I will remember that day, mainly because it was a day that I felt should not have happened. I just thought it was way too soon. How could you let her out of jail before she ever gave you the answers that you needed?
Elizabeth, hi, I'm Pat McReynolds. I'm with Channel 5. Now that you're out, will you actually help try to find Gabriel? How does it feel to be out?
I couldn't believe after all these years of covering this case that it was basically going to end and she got exactly what she wanted.
To this day, I don't understand how she could not be in jail when she hasn't been able to present us with a healthy, live Gabriel. Every day, Logan has to live with that question, and now Elizabeth is allowed to go about her life as though she didn't do anything wrong.
You want to be able to make an arrest, and you want to be able to have the evidence that you need that it'll stand up in court, and that a jury will say that that person is guilty of murder, in the murder or the capital murder of Gabriel Johnson. I know enough to know that I don't have enough. The prosecutors, any prosecutor would certainly agree with that statement, but our system is built to make sure that that the right person goes to jail for the right charge, and that there's beyond a reasonable doubt. That means that there's not some fraction of evidence or some fraction of belief that they didn't do what they're accused of doing.
I don't think you could get a conviction on murder in this case. I don't think you could. I think any good defense lawyer could easily walk her on a murder charge. Boy, she would be hated. She would not be a particularly sympathetic defendant, but you wouldn't get a murder charge on this case because you ain't got a body. Charging someone with murder without a body is that every defense lawyer has the same defense, and that is, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, look at that back door. And now all the jury's looking, and the defense lawyer goes, the person could have just walked in right there, and there is no body. So that is exactly what the defense is right there when there is no body. Because all of a sudden, the person could just show up and there is no murder. And that is why it's almost impossible to prosecute.
Yeah, I would say that based on everything that I know, it seems like she's gotten away with murder. When you work these cases, you have to prepare yourself that happens sometimes. But we have to do things the right way. We have to catch people the right way. We have to get confessions the right way. And even a confession without evidence is not going to bring anything home for you. I think that's, I think people have that misconception. We still need something to prove what it is she's telling us. And that's why some of what I'm not wanting to say is with holding out hope that if we ever get that evidence, that I'll be able to go back and validate the lies that she told me and the little bit of truth that she told me.
Most of the police officers, they didn't even want us in San Antonio. They told us flat out they didn't want us there because we were hindering their case. So we were messing up their case and they wanted to charge her with murder. And since we weren't for Gabriel being dead, they didn't want us there because they couldn't charge her with murder, saying that he's alive, he's out there somewhere. They straight up told my aunt that we don't want you here. We got our car broken into when we were there. All of our stuff just about Gabriel was stolen out of our vehicle. It's kind of weird.
An investigator's job is always to seek the truth and try to do it in a way that the family knows that we're working our hardest for them. And I just probably didn't communicate that as well as I should have.
This case with San Antonio police was absolutely being investigated as a homicide case, and that's what they stuck with from the beginning. The problem was once she changed her story, it seemed that officials were still focused on that homicide aspect. Had she actually given the baby up, I just don't think that that side of things was investigated thoroughly from the start because they had already been told, I killed him.
The San Antonio police were not being very helpful. And I have covered a lot of these cases, and you know, there are always things that the police department is not going to tell the family. But it just seemed in this case that they were being even less helpful than a police department should be and usually is.
Detective Salome had flown out to Phoenix, Arizona, and had asked the detectives involved that he wanted to talk to Elizabeth. He would have to go in with them.
And so I talked to her. I was in a room. They didn't let me have an interview room, but I was in a big open room with two other jail guards that were there the whole time. She was brought in, and we had an hours-long conversation, which ultimately resulted in her telling me that she had killed him.
From what the families told us over the years was that Jesse Salome said that Elizabeth admitted to killing her child.
The details she provided lined up with what she had told Logan in terms of the fact that, well, at least one part, that he was blue. So I won't want to speak too much about that because I'm still holding out the possibility that there may be more. But I can tell you that she didn't seem all that concerned about the landfill search. And in fact, she told me something different that she had done to dispose of his body.
From what we understand, the reason they've never used this recording is because Elizabeth was in a mental health section at the jail, and at that time she was on antipsychotics. So from what people have explained it to me is that you can suggest something to someone taking those types of medications. For example, I could tell you, you killed the Pope, and you may very well repeat, I killed the Pope.
She gave very, very good responses to all of my questions, appropriate responses to my questions. There was nothing that was off the wall with her answers. Her issue then and probably now is that she is completely self-centered and only cares about what impacts her. There was a moment where I felt like we were going to get somewhere, and then shortly thereafter the interview was terminated. Her attorneys got into the room, and we stopped. We had to stop.
I mean, Elizabeth's part in this was what Tempe PD was dealing with. And unfortunately, I think their department's hands are tied now because this missing person case is out of San Antonio. But it's hard because the Tempe Police Department has been very proactive in this case. They've had trouble sometimes getting in contact with San Antonio PD. I've had trouble with it. I know other people in this case have. It's a bummer because on the Arizona side of things, while this community is still reeling from it because he ultimately went missing from here, there's really not a lot that Arizona authorities can do at this point because Elizabeth already served that time she was convicted for. So we're all kind of watching on the sidelines from Arizona, hoping that there's answers. But as far as Arizonans or law enforcement can go in this state, there's not a whole lot we can do at this point in the investigation.
I've never provided any of the details before, the details that I can release, and I think that it is important for people to know, one, that, that this department, this city, myself, we're heavily invested in finding out what happened to Gabriel. We all care about what happened. We all care about the truth, and we all want justice, whatever that looks like.
I believe that whatever Jesse did or didn't do, he cared about the case. I truly, in my heart, whether he believed Gabriel was alive or dead is immaterial, or whatever case he wanted to have, or whatever charges he wanted to be able to do, I believe he cared.
I heard from Sandy last week, and it really broke my heart when she said that, I think her exact words are, people may think I'm crazy, but I'm still looking. And I have to, if she's gonna hold out hope, then I have to have some hope too. For the longest time, I thought that I was really close to finding out what happened. As I look back on it now, I think she was just a master manipulator, and I think that she was very good at lying and was very good at holding all those secrets in. And I don't think Elizabeth has told the truth to anybody, and I don't think that she ever will.
And not serve enough time or anything. I can't wrap my brain around it. She's out living her life like nobody's business, knowing that her son that she gave birth to is somewhere out in this world. She knows where he is. Knowing that, and she's just out without a care in the world.
It was a very evil and wicked thing. It's evil. That's of the devil, to tell somebody I killed him and what she said. If she didn't, it was evil. If she did, it was evil. It was all evil. There's never a reason. There's never an excuse to talk like that about your baby. And to hurt somebody like that, he has to go on not knowing. And I only knew this baby for a week or two. And even all these years later, I will feel that gut wrench and I will think of him and wonder, where is he and what really happened? I have to believe he's not dead. I don't believe he's dead because I choose to believe she didn't do it. I choose to believe that. And so therefore my belief is very strong and my faith is strong. And I believe that everything she said was a lie. And so therefore, if everything she said was a lie, you're not gonna find him in the dumpsters. I feel like whatever she said, it's like, oh no, that's to turn you this way and that's to turn you that way.
Real irony here is that I've never spoken about this before. You're talking to a lot of people who want answers, and the one person that can answer all these questions is not gonna answer those questions. And she's got the key that's gonna unlock the door to all the secrets.
This really showed a hole in our justice system, that somebody can do this, and as long as the baby is never found, they spend, what, a year in jail, maybe 2, and then they're out doing whatever they would have been doing beforehand.
I think no matter the years that go on, this community is always going to be affected by this crime. This was such a cute little boy, little baby, who was so innocent in this. And I think there's frustration from this community for the fact that Elizabeth's been living her life free for many years now, and Gabriel's still missing. The McQuarries don't have any answers. I think people just want to know if he's alive and if he's okay. And I think people are waiting for that reunion that Logan and his family now will hopefully one day have with Gabriel. I mean, it's just, you know, we see those pictures of him, and for the most part in those pictures, he's between 6 and 9 months old. He would have just turned 13.
Elizabeth Johnson is now free after serving just over 5 years for custodial interference. She is now married and living in New Mexico, but she has no children.
Hey Elizabeth, my name is Abel Pena. I'm with a nonprofit called Project Absentis. I would love to talk to you. I'm over here in Los Lunas. I'm going to be here probably for a few more hours and just wanted to see if we can chat for a little bit. Again, I'm from nonprofit. I'm not a police or anything like that. We're just down here and just wanted to talk to you a little bit.
According to Elizabeth's Facebook page, she was pregnant again. And that really, really bothered people.
According to Elizabeth Johnson's social media, she is now pregnant again. And reading through her comments, most believe this is her first child.
I mean, here you have a woman who served prison time because her baby boy is missing, and you're going to go forward and have another baby without ever telling people what happened to Gabriel? People couldn't fathom that. How does the system let this happen? How can that be?
Elizabeth Johnson, my hopes is that she'll see this, and I think she does watch these things about herself, and that she'll realize that she may think she got away with this, but she didn't, and this will never go away. And eventually this will catch up to you. Eventually somebody's gonna say something, and you don't get to just go on with your life and act like Gabriel never existed, or this whole family is not sitting here dealing with your selfishness. I just hope that somebody will tell the truth. I hope that one day she'll wake up and realize that there's answers that everybody still wants.
Yeah, if it does take another 8 or 10 years to find him and he comes and just walks and knocks on our door, I'd still be happy. You know, I'm gonna be happy as hell. And yeah, it's gonna suck missing everything up until, you know, if I meet him when he's 24 years old, but if that's what I have to do, wait till he's 24 or 20 years old and I finally get to meet him, I'm still gonna be happy. Like, then all that other stuff, I'll forget about it.
When you're my kid, I'll do anything for you. I'll do everything for you. And I want him here more than anything. I want him to know he's welcome at any point in time to come here. No matter what the baggage is, we'll work through it. That's what we do. We're a family, you know?
Sometimes it only takes one piece of information, one piece of the puzzle that might be missing to make everything fit. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we don't forget him. Make sure he doesn't disappear again. Without mentioning his name over and over again, telling new details, new facts, new ideas about what would have happened, we lose a child again. And that's the last thing anyone wants to see.
I want somebody to see it and say, I know that kid, and get him home to his family. I think that's what it'll do. I really do. We live in a world now where we're just, strange things happen like that, you know? And it's usually because somebody saw something on TV.